Hello guys, good and everything else. On Ricardo Pen's video, I hope that the video is actually recording. Yes, it is recording. Along with the audio, I believe. Yes, the audio is working also. So, yeah, I just wanted to jump on the trend of people just farming views over this one new controversy with Wizards of the Coast, which, yeah, this controversy isn't like really big for me personally, because they just want to remove half races. I don't know why. They probably want to preserve their blood purity or something like this. However, I don't play DnD as frequently as I like to play, Pathfinder, Cogent, and stuff like this. And also Fate Core system. There are many systems, but I just named the three ones that I use most often. So yeah, and just get to it. Well, quite a lot of news came out of the recent D&D summit. The idea that the tabletop role-playing game is entirely getting rid of half races and half species due to concerns over racism has quickly gathered a lot of attention. Try to be surprised, but it turns out many aspects of the situation have been misconstructed by those who are either working with the wrong interpretation or have simply chosen certain interpretation of the right information. Actually, I needed to make this joke because for some reason you need to make this joke. Actually, this is one of the stories where you need to take a step back. At first look, two key things. And first look at two key things. What actually is being done and what was actually said about it. See, most versions of D&D, it is possible to create half-elf and half-orc races. As the name implies, the character splits both the physical traits and attributes of both of the parent races, humans and elves and humans and orcs. In other words, these characters physically look like combinations of orcs and humans or elves and humans. And their stat attributes were also representative of both parent races. No, they weren't. Human either gets +1 to everything, or +2 or +1 to 2 statistics, and also a free feat. While how. I mean, it technically does get something, but none of them get proficiencies at base. At least I believe. At least in the player's handbook. Because I know that with Monsters of the Multiverse, you technically get some proficiencies. However, normally in the book, half-elves just get a bunch of skills and a bit more stat, and just one stat point more than other characters. So yeah, along with Hill Dwarf, they're on the hill of that. And yeah, we half-orcs got a special ability that just is a very orcish ability. However, orcs do not get the ability, which just allows them to survive on survive on 1 hit point after being knocked down. Those combined attributes offer some unique role-playing options. For instance, half-elves benefited from pretty generous base stat distribution and useful base skills. Half-elves also offered similar statistical advantages, though one of the best reasons to play one was to access certain orc abilities without having to play a full orc and negate all the tricky, often hostile social interactions orcs sometimes have to deal with. So yeah, While there are other half races parts of D&D lore, it's a big universe. The half-elf and half-orc are notable for being specifically outlined during character creation process of many versions of the game. They even had their own race sheets, expanded their unique attributes. That's one of the big things that will be changing moving forward. At least some versions of the game. Actu- actually, this change was confirmed quite some time ago, far back as 2022. The D&D team noticed that one D&D, the next phase of D&D, will remove old half races. Oh, noted, not noted. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. Old half orc and half elf. Character creation options from the game. Instead, players will be able to create a physical combination of various races. The keyword is physical. So if you don't want to create an orc human hybrid character, you can make a character that physically resembles both races. When it comes out with stat attributes, though, you will have to choose either orcs or humans for your character's base information. That's very boring. That's like very, very boring. In some ways, this change addresses both balance and role-playing issues that have long existed in the game. Not really balance issues. To be honest, not really balance issues. Like, um, Half-Orc only gets this when the Half-Orc is downed, and skill proficiencies aren't that important. Really often, like you usually will just use like 2 or 3 skills that you already start with. 2 or 3 skills that you already start with, and that's all skills that you really need. So I don't see this being really a problem, and to get like advantages against being charmed, which enemies don't often charm characters. Okay, half character creation options will be ideally now be treated a little more evenly, since the half elf and half orc won't have separate pages options available specifically to them. This change will also help address some potential balancing issues. Half elves have long been a pretty powerful character creation options, while half orcs have long offered that aforementioned workarounds to some of the potential downsides that come along with playing full orc character. Like, I don't know, that really highly depends on the setting you're playing on. If you have like any downsides from not being an orc, because full orc doesn't give you that much. This is important to note, that this change applies to upcoming D&D update. Those who use older editions of the game, older versions, I say editions automatically, will still be able to create traditional half-elf and half-orc characters with all their usual attributes and features. So why is this change causing stir now? Well, the reignited debate seems to stem from this comment on change that it was recently made by the D&D rule designer. Frankly, we are not comfortable and haven't been for years with any options that start with half. The half construction is entirely racist, so we simply aren't going to include that in new player's handbook. How is this racist? Okay, let me ask. If, for example, I don't know, a black person and white person do the thingy and now have a baby, is the existence of their baby racist? Is the fact that two people from different races set aside their differences or something if they had any differences, joined and engaged in love without any problems caused by their race and had a baby that basically just shows it. Is this now somehow is this child like inherently racist right now? Because at least this comment seems to say so. Like I'm going to tell you, mixed people are not antichrist and stuff like this. Like come on, just playing a half-orcs existing won't be a problem, okay? I know that you want to like fix the half-race dilemma or something like this. I don't know. I want to make a joke about the fact that they are erasing like races. Like, yeah, erasing. Yeah, but yeah, that just simply stupid. That just sounds stupid to me. Like, sure, racist is a bad thing, but a mixed race
It's not racist. It's a union between two races, which is completely the opposite of racist. It's completely the opposite. You think that not being racist, like literally, Jeremy Crawford now thinks that not being racist is a race, is a sign of racism. Not being racist is racist.
like what? Dude, dude. Like, bruh. Okay, I don't want to put words in Crawford's mouth. He didn't elaborate on that explanation, but it's worth noting that the potential problematic nature of those race options has come up before. In most instances, the complaint problems came down to the fact that half-elves and half-orcs specifically identified as separate races in certain handbook versions, whereas the combinations are not. Why those two? Well, it's not 100% clear, but it's worth noting that a lot of early D&D concepts were lifted from J.R. Tolkien's work. Tolkien mentioned that half-elves and half-orcs are separate races, so D&D treated them separately. That at least seems to be the one of the more likely explanations for the origin of the decision. Okay, for some time there has been general concerns about why those two half races merit being treated as separate figures when no other combination seemingly warranted such notable decisions. Like, yeah, I would prefer if we just took half of the features of one race and took half of the features of the second race and stuff like this. But my problem with this stems from the fact that like they are straight up trying to erase them because they think that existence of a race is racist. Like, ¿Qué? ¿Por qué? Like, let me get this straight. They want to erase the half races because they got special treatment, essentially. Like, okay. Please, do not do this again. Yeah, I'm making the joke for the third time. Please, do not just erase a race because they have some sort of privilege in your mind or something like this. I don't know. I don't know what is it at this point, but However, just removing half races like this just doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, like in my opinion, if they would just say that okay, right now half elves and half orcs won't really be a thing because now we are going to add many halves, okay? Or you just take half of the features of one race and half of the features of the other. I wouldn't be like any concerned. Like I would be pretty happy. Like, yeah, right now I can like play half lizard folk, half human or something like this. Yeah, it was especially hot topic in case of two orcs who again were sometimes chosen so that player could pass having to deal without any of the social issues that come with playing an orc. Like that depends on what social issues. Like unless your GM is running a racist setting, then that probably won't come up. But if your GM is running a racist setting or something like this, then probably half orcs will have it even worse than normal orcs. They would be treated like an abomination or something like this. So yeah, that's not the issue. You can probably see why this could be an issue. There are also the matter of implications that generally are the derogatory term half-breed and how the native implications of that could be applied to race options. Oh, how much did it take us? 16 minutes. Again though, this decision also seems to be based on statistical and character creation balancing changes as much if not more than concerns over social implications of the older designs. No, they're probably not. They're probably not. Like half elves and half orcs existing wouldn't like break the game. They didn't break the game, and Arakokra and Owlin are still in the game. Which get flight, which is like infinitely more overpowered. And yeah, like mountain dwarves are also really strong. Like if you take a mountain dwarf, then the mountain dwarf, that not only gets like already the spreadsheet of like doesn't already gets like stats of an elf essentially, but also in addition to that of the half elf, I mean, also in addition to that gets like armor up to medium. So you don't need to really pick up any feats if you pick a spellcaster, except just one heavily armored feat. And you will have heavy armor. Even if you're playing a wizard. Again though, this decision okay. As with all DnD modifications, we'll see how this shakes out mechanical perspective. Some are already lamenting losing out on unique aspects of half-elf and half-orc races. Probably just probably like just half-orc survive on one hit point ability. While others seem convicted this change will fulfill seemingly intended function. Others would say just prefer that more race combinations and had unique attributes, as half-elves, half-orcs and half-elves options had. I personally believe that these changes seem to stem from good intentions from both balancing perspective and social perspective. It won't change anything of balancing perspective. And from social perspective, this doesn't really seem to do anything also. It just like a nothing change. Except the fact that they're erasing essentially half-orc with half-orc's ability. Like, that's the only reason. Like, if they move this to orcs, then if they move this ability to orcs, I wouldn't mind at all. However, this doesn't seem to be the thing, as far as I can tell. Like, if they just move the ability to just normal orc and just like say that, hey, you can pick like half of the ability of one and half of the ability of other parent race and stuff like this. But if it's human, then you just pick the full race. Then I would be like, yeah, okay, now we have more combinations that are canon. Yay! I'm still not gonna buy your book though. Okay, it's important to know that the suddenly popular attack of the half-race or half-species concept being scrapped from the game entirely isn't accurate. Like so many things in D&D is just changing. Okay, but that just one race. You don't you don't get the experience of playing half this, you just get experience of playing one race and stuff like this. Like, a thing that I've noticed a lot is that right now Wizards just gives us some barely functioning thing and then says, you know, this is an imagination game. Use your imagination to fix my product. But first buy my broken product and then fix it yourself. Like that's how it sounds. And that's why I prefer like other companies, and I'm also excited about Critical Role's own TTRPG that will be created called Daggerheart that I will also record a video about later. But now I quite literally have 4 minutes of free time left, essentially, because I'm going to have to do some like extra lessons and stuff like this. So yeah, well, that's pretty much it for you folks. This is Dungeons and Dragons, so I don't know what to say. Like, don't get lost in the dungeon or something like this. Don't get lost in the dungeon of Foss or something like this. I don't know. Celebrate wizards falling off the coast. Eh? I don't know.